What is going on, Sabres fans, and welcome to another episode of Sabres Spotlight, where we shine a light on all things Sabres. Ryan, what's going on?
Dude, we haven't talked in forever, buddy. Like, at least, I mean, we talk every day, you and I, but I'm here. I feel like it's been a while. Like, so many things have happened in the last week, the last couple days around Buffalo sports. Just like everything is happening.
Well, and you know what I think the craziest thing is that the Sabres we still have playoff hope. We're not even out of it yet.
Yeah, dude, 0.5%, I think it is. Hey, we're not ringing the bell until it's over. I mean, it's definitely over, but it's just more fun to just be like, what if they did it, you know?
Yeah, but you're right. It hasn't been so long, but we have had 4 games, which we'll reflect back on. It's been a little bit up and down since we spoke last. But before we get to that and go around the league, anything new with you over this last week? We had Easter. You know, I had a good time with the family, I'm assuming.
Yeah, no, honestly, just normal stuff. Easter with the family, with all sides of the family, and it's been pretty good. Just pretty low key around the Katachi household, which is it's the way that I like it.
Yeah, so we had Easter at our house. We host every year. Like that's our thing. Like we all rotate. Like mom does Christmas, like sister does things, or my mom does Thanksgiving, sister does Christmas. Like we all take a thing. So Easter's our thing. But I got a quick story to tell you about Riley. So for those listening who don't know, Riley's my daughter. So we put out Katie, my wife, does all the baskets. Like I don't do anything. She's had the baskets like already ready for like a month. Like she's just like crazy with that.
Dude, she's so prepared. She's just so prepared. It's insane.
So Riley's been sick, so she's been like getting up a little bit earlier over during the night than usual. And I typically fall asleep on the couch because I'm like watching hockey or whatever, you know, on Practical Jokers, which I love to fall asleep to every night. So it was Saturday night because it was going into Easter morning. So we get the Katie puts the baskets out on our living room floor, and then she puts these like little Easter bunny footprints on the floor, so it
That's cute. Okay.
looks like the Easter bunny like was in the house and like dropped off these baskets. So had to be like midnight, and I hear Riley's door open, and I'm like, all right, so she's waking up. I'll go and put her back to sleep. So I go out. She is she's picking up the footprints, like she's like sleeping, but she like noticed these footprints on the floor, so she's in our living room and she's picking them up, and I'm like, no, Riley, I'm like, don't touch those, I'm like, leave those there. And she's like, Daddy, what are these? And I'm just like, no, come on, leave those there, let's go to bed. But
Yeah.
I'm like the wherewithal of this little 3-year-old to like be drowsy in the middle of the night but notice something different on the floor and just start picking them up. I'm like, what are you doing? Let's go to bed.
Did you remember that interaction in the morning or no?
No, I don't think so, no.
Or she did, and she just decided to spare your heart and not tell you. That's hilarious though.
Well, she gets up and she gets so pissed at my dog right away. Well, because my dog's
Yeah.
like, she loves to like just give kisses. And like, so Riley will get up in the morning and Belle will just be like in her face, like going crazy. And Riley gets so mad. She just yells at her. She's like, go away. Leave me alone. I'm
Well,
like, oh
she's
my.
always whenever we're over, she's like, "Bad Belle,
Yeah.
Bad Belle."
Yeah. So she was
She's
all.
a terror. I love her. She's amazing.
Yeah. So she was sidetracked with the dog, and no, but it was good. Yeah, Easter was a lot of fun. We had some family over, a couple illnesses in the family. So hoping that everyone's recovering, and then we'll get back together with everyone. When everyone's feeling better. But that's it for me. Other than that, man, I think we're ready to take it around the league before we get into what's happening with the Sabres. But I think where do you want to start? You want to start with McKinnon and this point streak that got snapped?
Dude, why didn't they give him the assist for that one goal? I don't understand. He was so Nathan McKinnon, guys, has been on a ridiculous point streak at home. 35 straight games with a point at home, at least. And it should have been 36 in a row. He clearly like touched a puck that someone scored. Like I don't get it. Did you see the play that he didn't that people were complaining about?
No, I didn't see the play. I just heard, I think it was Taves after who was saying like, "Oh, isn't I thought he was getting like credit on mine," and I was just like, "Oh, they're trying to buy him a point or whatnot." But like, is it legit? Like, should he have gotten
Yeah,
one?
so a play that happened, and then I think it might have been it was someone like Kucherov or something recently, like yesterday or the day before. like got credited with an assist that like I don't think he should have got credit for. So it's like it's just weird. I mean, you know, NHL like scores vary from building to building, I guess, but it's just like, man, it's unfortunate that a streak like that. Could you imagine if he got points in every single playoff, like I think every single home game for the whole year? Like that's insane.
Yeah, that'd be nuts. That'd be nuts. I mean, that's a crazy feat to think about it. And then it's funny when I heard that they were, looking at it, I was curious if they were going to, and then they reached a decision on it pretty quick. They were like, no,
Yeah.
we're not going to. And I just wonder if it's like just some guy who's just like doesn't like McKinnon. It's just like, no, I'm not giving him the point, just because like, whatever. But I mean, that is crazy. I think it was a couple games ago where he extended the point streak like late in the third, like got a goal, and then it ended up getting snapped, a couple games later. But yeah, he's kind of on another planet right now.
Yeah, you know what? When Colorado came here, I think it was in October, November-ish, and we held them scoreless. Nathan McKinney can put up all the points he wants at home, but when he comes into the mighty KeyBank Center, he's held pointless, baby.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, get all those points up in the, he, what did they say? He's a mile high merchant.
Mile Mileheimer, man, he's an incredible player. That's an insane streak, and it does suck that it came to an end. That's really funny. The Mile High Merchant. I'm gonna try to get that going on social media.
I heard that somewhere. I definitely can't take credit for
That's
that.
really
But
funny.
so it ends up being 40 games, the second longest streak in the NHL behind Gretzky. Of course, Gretzky's going to have the first one. Second bit of news here: Jonathan Quick passes Ryan Miller for most wins from a U.S. goalie. Kind of sad, because that's our boy, Miller, who had the record. But I mean, congrats to Jonathan Quick. I don't know how much I truly like care about this, but I figure we put it in just because it has Miller in there. So
Well, the thing about it, I mean, nobody really expected Jonathan Quick to be good for the Rangers. Like when I remember when he got signed, everyone was like, "Really? Like he's going to be the primary backup to Shesterkin?" But you could argue that the Rangers aren't where they are in the standings without him. He's been really good there. So congrats to him. Like you said, I mean, yeah, you passed our boy, and but the Americans have been blessed with some unbelievable goaltending over the last like 15, 20 years. So that's pretty cool. Good for him.
yeah, I mean he did, like everyone thought he was done, and then he, like you said, he did what the Rangers needed him to do because Shusterkin was off there for a little bit. Now he's
Yeah,
kind of playing like his normal Vezina contender self. But there was a few weeks there. My fantasy team knows it because he's my goalie that he was struggling, and Quick was getting some games back to back. I mean, there was chatter of should he be the starter, getting more
I
games. And
know. That like blows my mind.
yeah,
But hey,
so
that just goes to show how well he was playing, and good for him, man. I mean, I thought he was gonna just because didn't he go to Vegas last year and like he didn't play at all in the playoffs and won a ring. Like he was just on their roster,
yeah, he went to
and
he
now
went he went he the Kings traded him.
yeah, and now he is playing and he's been good. I mean, goaltending is weird, such a weird position in like all of sports. Like it's difficult, man. But hey, good for him, and Ryan
You know
Miller
what's
second
I
place now.
Yeah, second place gets the silver. But so what's funny about this is like you would think like at least in my head I'd be like, oh, I'd want to win. I'd want to get this record on like a 6 shutout or something. Like no, it was an 8-5 game against the
Holy
Arizona
shit, that's so
Coyotes.
funny! Wow.
Yeah, so it's not like you played a great game, but they netted 8 goals, so like whatever. But all right, and then so speaking of the Rangers, last little bit of news here. I think this was just last night, right? The big brawl between the Devils and the Rangers.
Yeah, what did you think of it?
So I watched. I mean, it's I don't know. It seemed like it was kind of spontaneous, Like I don't. I want to say it wasn't necessarily planned. Obviously, the Rangers wanted, some, or the Devils wanted some sort of redemption on Rempe for the elbow, from when they played him previously. I forget who that was on at the time.
Siegenthaler.
Yeah, Siegenthaler. So yeah, they McDermott and Rempe dropped the gloves, and they went for a long time, and then in the meantime, everyone else just started going. So it ends up with 5 fights and 8 ejections. Like the game just got going crazy. I mean, it's cool. It's cool to see it because it's not something you see very often, or it takes you back to like what the Sabres and Senators brawl. Like that stuff is cool. It's fun. It doesn't happen that often, so when you see it, it's pretty fun. It's exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I saw people being like, "Oh, this is so unnecessary," blah blah blah, but it kind of is. Like something needed to happen and something was going to happen and it happened and they took care of it and it was pretty cool to see. Like you said, how often do you see five guys just all fighting at the same time? And didn't I think so? Rempe and McDermott got 5 minutes for fighting, and then the other eight skaters got tossed out of the game because they were technically like, I guess like the rule is if you fight after the original fight starts, that you can get thrown out of the game. So all eight
Mm.
skaters got tossed, which is so funny to start a game and both teams are down, four guys immediately. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, that is crazy. I think
And it was actually a good game. It was a good game.
I think the Rangers ended up winning 4-3, right? Wasn't
Yeah,
that
yeah. High
yeah.
scoring and they were beating the shit out of each other. There was another fight later in that game too. I can't remember who went, but I that's exciting for the league to Rempe, man. We keep talking about him every week. He just every week something with this guy.
Well, you know what I found very interesting, and why, and it kind of shows like why I don't give a shit about this as much, and like why I think those comments are kind of dumb. Where it's like, oh, like we don't need to do this, like this is unnecessary. Like McDermott after the game, McDermott's who fought Rempe, and after the game, I don't know if you saw his quote. I was reading the
I
article,
did.
but he said like, I respect Rempe and what he's doing, and he's making a name for himself in this league, and that's what you got to do to kind of stick around. And it was just like it wasn't like, oh, we hate this guy. It was like, no, I mean, I respect him for what he's doing, and but we needed to respond, and that's fine. Like you said, like these big brawls like this, they don't happen all that often, and I don't know, I don't think it's a big deal, but it was fun. It was fun. Yeah, I like watching it. So
Yeah, hockey and fighting are synonymous. Like the stage stuff, like the stuff with like I know Rempe's a big guy and McDermott's a big guy, but there was bad blood there. Like something needed to be addressed, and no longer are the big 6 foot enforcers that like 6'5" enforcers that don't know how to play. You know, go out there for your 2 minute fight and then don't contribute for anything at
yeah,
all. Like that, those days are gone. Like this was like an emotional, like something was going to be addressed. We even had like an FU match in at center ice between or not center ice, like in between the benches between the coaches there, Travis Green and Peter Laviolette. That was you love to see it.
yeah.
It's great. So we don't have to probably spent too much time talking about it, but
Yeah, whatever. I
it's
mean,
just something different.
I was at the Sabres Senators brawl, and it was like eerily similar to this. Like I was at
Yeah.
that game, and it's just like, I mean, I was just a young kid at the time, and when it was happening, it's like, man, it just like I remember how loud it was and stuff. That shit's fun, and yeah, so I didn't mind seeing it, and yeah, I mean Rempe, I mean he's like whatever, he's doing his thing, but all right, transitioning into the Sabres here. So the Sabres have had 4 games since we spoke last week, and it's been, like I said, kind of up and down. So we go 2-2, but we'll start way back last week in a 6-2 loss to the Ottawa Senators, where we were losing 4-0, 9 minutes into the game, down 5-0 after the first. This, I don't know what you saw/felt, but to me, this felt like probably like the 5th or 6th game this season that was a fireable game for Don. But I mean, the Boobers were out after the first period. UPL gets pulled after the 4th goal, which we can talk about that a little bit more. But then Levi comes in, does pretty well, stops 31 of 32 shots. And that pretty much sums it up. I mean, crap power plays, 0 for 2, and just not a good game for the Sabres at home.
Well, UPL, to give him credit, he's been unbelievable after January. Like, can't really. I feel sorry for the guy. Like, you can't really go at him too much, but you do kind of have to say that he was kind of shit in this game. Like the
Yeah. Oh
defensive
yeah. I mean, he
coverage
got
like
pulled, so
wasn't
yeah.
great, but he was kind of shit. Like you could tell he was just not feeling it like almost immediately. So we can get into this now. We go down 2-0 immediately. It's not looking great. It's early. Would you have wanted to see Granado? use his timeout.
I've been saying this all year about Granado is that like he doesn't use his timeouts, and I know like timeouts aren't used like a ton. I was trying to find statistics on it actually, like to see how many timeouts are actually used, and like I get it, like they're not always used, but I just feel like that's something that like Sean McDermott uses too many timeouts and like timeouts when he shouldn't, and I want Don to use more. Like I feel like there's been a lot of times this year where he could have used timeouts, and I don't like, and it doesn't have to be late in the third. Like what are we saving them for? Like if you are seeing things are starting to spiral, or like this game where it's your first game back after the West Coast swing, and the boys have always struggled to play at home, and maybe they're just kind of a little too antsy. Obviously something's up with UPL, whether it's fatigue or whatnot. Like yeah, I would have loved to see a timeout earlier. I've been a little critical of Don so far this season in that regard.
Well, then the third goal goes in, and nothing happens again. It's like, dude, like, come on, your guys are like swimming out there in a 10-foot pool with no floaties on. Like, you got to help them out. Like, even just to use your timeout, or you know, UPL should have been probably pulled after the third goal, and he doesn't do it, and then the fourth one goes in, and he finally yanks him, and it's like, well, dude, it's too late now. Like, it's over. Like,
Yeah.
you just wasted everyone's time here by not being a good coach, in my opinion, and his in-game decisions, whether that be when to use his timeouts, or who goes out on the power play first, or pulling the goalie at the end of games. Like, he's probably a nice guy, but his in games like decision making is terrible. Like, there's no other way to describe it.
Yeah, and to me there's two like critical times in the game where a timeout would be necessary: early in the game or late in the game. And like if and there's because second period, like you just had an intermission, going into the third period like you just had intermission, so there's times then to talk to the team and whatnot. But like if you start slow, you might need a timeout, and then in the third, if you need to address something, you might need a timeout. So this was a perfect instance where he needed a timeout. I mean, goal one goes in at the 2:37 mark, and then 2 minutes and 20 seconds later, goal two. A minute and 5 seconds later, goal three, and then two minutes and 50 seconds later, goal four. So it's like the team was like, it was like boom, boom, boom. It's like, let's slow this down, let's gather things, and then let's go. And you never know what's going to happen in that timeout. Like maybe you take that timeout after the second goal, and UPL says like, coach, like I'm not seeing it well tonight or something. Okay, I'm going to make a change right now. Like you never know what's going to happen in that. So, yeah, it was definitely, there's some blame, to go Don's way for that. And I think for me, the most frustrating part of this game, like I said, was that you had just gotten back from the West Coast. It's your first game at home, and you kind of laid an egg, and it was a good opportunity to maybe hit the ground running, because you got 5 games at home now, and you kind of put up a dud in that first game back.
Yeah, nothing really positive to add to this one either, like, at all.
Besides Levi coming in and playing good, like 31 and 32, and Levi's been he's been fine. When he's come in, we've spoken to that ad nauseum and whatnot. But after
Speaking
that,
of
we
Levi,
go. Yeah, go ahead.
you go.
No,
I
I
was
was
just
going
at
to I was going to Devils. So if you got something here, then you can put in.
No, I was just trying to have us. That was man. Usually we're on point with these transitions, but I was just saying, speaking of Levi, and then you were going in there with the old Devils game when we started.
Well, I think I know what you're going to say about Levi, but Levi had another good game in this, so we can bring it in here. But after the 6-2 loss, then we do bounce back. Another game that started slow, as we were down, 2-0 in the first 10 minutes. This was balled for Bucks night, so that's always a fun night. There's a lot of stuff going on for good causes and stuff, and again, you hate to see them kind of come out of the gate kind of slow. I want to say it was like a couple fluky goals, if I can remember. Like it wasn't not like they were like great goals, but still down 2-0 early in the game, and then they score 5 unanswered goals and come back. And this was really the Tage night. Tage gets 4 goals, three regular goals, and then 1 empty net goal. And then Paterka gets his 26th goal of the season on an empty net goal as well. But what do you think about this game here? I think they started slow and then they bounced back, and Levi stopped 38 of or 28 of 30, and yeah, what do you think?
This was Tage night, like you said. Like he was unbelievable. There are games this year where I start to believe like, all right, the players are good. Like, what can these players do with a different staff like throughout an 82 game season? And this was one of those days because like Tage was unreal, Tuck was unreal, uh, Turka scored the empty netter. Like, I don't know, I just it sucks, man. We're talking about these games at the end of the year, and they're providing value in the fact that the players are kind of showing me that the talent is there. But I'm just like I find myself wishing for the season to be over because I just want to see what they do next. Because man, the coaching staff just really let me down all year. Really let all of us down. I think the talent is better than what happened this year, and these guys flashing in this Devils game kind of proved that to me.
Yeah, and we've kind of talked off air about how that's a pretty well accepted opinion in even in the national media, that this it's kind of difficult to see the Sabres where they are now, because they certainly do have the talent, and everyone's kind of confused at like what happened and why the results aren't there. But are you reading into anything about the Bauer gloves, Tage twitch and equipment here?
Equipment switches like fascinate me. Like I'm kind of like a gear nerd. Just like I follow a couple gear accounts and they'll tweet out like, oh, Ovechkin went from like a CCM to a Bauer like helmet or some shit like that. I love that stuff. But dude, I gotta tell you, like I did hear that besides his Bauer gloves, I did hear that Tage had to switch stick brands halfway through the year because they stopped manufacturing the sticks that he was using.
Hmm.
Dude, that could kind of like fuck you up like a little bit for a little while because you get a stick, you feel you get the right lie, like the right curve, and every stick kind of like weighs differently too, and it's like when you get the right one and you can feel it and it's just different. Like you can get a Bauer stick and they'll tell you that it's like the same manufactured the same as your other stick, and if your other stick was like a fucking like Sherwood or some shit, then and then you pick it up and you're like, this isn't the same stick. Like, no, it's not. So I is that another just another feather in the cap for the people to be like, Tage is gonna be fine, and he just had like a cursed season a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting because like that, I hear you. Like I'm that can definitely be a thing. I haven't never played hockey, but baseball and things, and just having that nice glove that you've had forever that's worn in, or finding that bat that you just kind of hit contact with better. So like I certainly get that. Um, for me with Tage, it's weird because I think watching him play now compared to the beginning of the season, it certainly could be health. Like we've talked about how he's been battling injuries, and Don was just on GR, last week, and said he's been dealing with some things that a lot of us don't even know about, and I know that's tough, but what I'm seeing, and I don't know if you're seeing this as well, is that it looks like he's just playing more loose, a little bit more free, and having fun with that. The thing that bothers me about that is that I think, he's, and we've heard this from the coaches, like he's one of these guys that presses, like he feels pressure, and he should, I guess, because he's one of our top players, if not our top player, that I think just he next year he's just got to give that up. He's just got to learn to play a little bit more free from the get-go, because he's playing great now, but there's no pressure now. There's no pressure. So part of that is, I think, him being healthier, of course, but I feel like there is a degree of he's just playing more loose, playing more free, maybe gripping that stick a little less tight and not in his head as much, now that the pressure's kind of off. And I need that from him all year.
Yeah, I feel like that kind of goes for almost the whole team. I know Dylan Cousins is another guy that they say like really feels the pressure of like he's got to be the guy. He wants to be the guy, and he's got the new contract coming, and it's like Yeah, I get it, but where was that? Where was that? Delivering on the skill and the talent. Where was delivering the results for us in like December and January? Like you can do it in March when in April when the season is kind of over, but you got to see it earlier in the season. If you want to make the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that can definitely go for the whole team. For Cousins, I'm starting to come around to maybe there's a little bit more smoke around this whole concept of him being a winger and not a center, because I think I don't know, that's very interesting to me, because I just think like to see him struggle this much without Quinn all year, and maybe needing a little bit more support instead of being able to drive that offense himself, that's got me questioning some things. And I'm not ready to give up on that just yet. And I know that Cousins is a great player, but I'm wondering if maybe that's just himself putting him a little bit more pressure on him too, because he's saying like, listen, I'm the guy, like I got to try and make things happen, and maybe that's not the most natural fit for him. So I'm curious if there's a little bit more smoke there than we might think.
Yeah, I mean, if they ever did decide to shift him over to wing, you'd have to get another center, and it's like I don't know. I feel like
Yeah,
stick him with Quinn for the whole year, a healthy Quinn. I just feel like Quinn just kind of unlocks him in some like some guys just kind of click with other guys. Like it's weird. Like the
yeah,
chemistry is a real thing, and it just looks like Cousins down the middle with Benson and Quinn lately has been pretty friggin' awesome. At least to the eye test, they look fun together.
yeah, yeah. Well, it doesn't matter where Benson goes. Like he's gonna get it
Literally,
done.
it really doesn't. No, it doesn't matter at all. You're right.
So then, real quick before we get into the next game, which is the Maple Leafs, I do want to congratulate the Devils for playing a perfect game on this night and not getting a single penalty called against them, which I think is an absolute atrocity by the NFL to not call a single
The
penalty.
NFL.
Or the shit, no, the NFL will be calling penalties left and right. No, the NHL. Oh man, I couldn't believe that. I remember just watching this game and like the third period, be like, I'm pretty sure there's not been a single penalty called. And then I want to say I was scrolling Twitter and I saw Chad like tweet like right after that thought, like something about the same thing, like, oh, it's almost like they haven't made a mistake all night, which is so funny. But
Yeah,
I,
Zach Benson breathes on someone and gets a penalty, and the
oh
Devils
my
apparently played a
god.
perfect game.
Yeah, seriously. You say they ref Darlene like a plug. I mean, fucking A Benson.
They do.
I know. I'm saying it's even worse with Benson. But all right, I'll let you take the lead here with Toronto, because we got a
We
we
have a
got a new
difference of opinion on this.
yeah, and we got a new segment that we're gonna introduce. So I'll take over for that. But yeah, I'll let you do the
All
I'll
right.
let you do the recap here real quick.
So, all right. So, I want to open up the Leafs talk with I don't blame the season ticket holders for cashing in on Leaf games. I really don't. They've been doing it forever. Like even
AKA
when the
listen to the
Sabres,
show, Sabres fans. We love you.
yeah, this is actually like I don't even if I was a player and I knew the Leaf fans were coming into my building, I think that I would be like, well, fuck, I want to just send them home. Like that would give me a little extra motivation. If they're going to invade our building, well, whatever. We'll just send them back up the QAW with a loss. But this time it was a little bit different. So the Sabres lose 3-0 on Saturday against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I am not joking when I'm pretty sure that it was 80% Leaf fans in the building. Oh my god! Someone sent me a video from the crowd after Matthews scored his 60th goal, and it just makes me think like, good for the Leaf fans that they can come over here and you know get cheaper tickets in our building because the Leaf tickets in Toronto are just exorbitantly priced. It's absurd. It's a corporate atmosphere. You got to be somebody to get tickets in Toronto, so they kind of come here to cheer on their team for less a price, and it's only a couple-hour drive. But holy shit, like they pumped us. They pumped us in this game. And what did you think of the comments after the game about the crowd? And I didn't. I think it was a little bit. People were a little bit overzealous with their reactions to the game, and we
By
could talk
people,
about
you mean me?
Well, we can talk about that with me in our goofball segment later on. And the general Twitter space was freaking the fuck out, and media was freaking out about how it was, and it's like the Leafs are one of the best teams in the league, and here we are again at the bottom, and nobody trusts the organization. So, kind of what are you kind of expecting here? So, what was your take on the whole situation? We got pumped. Like, there's nothing good about this game to even talk about, like in terms of players.
No, 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 no. And I mean, I didn't even think we played that bad. I mean, Samsonov made some great saves,
Yeah,
honestly.
it was.
Like it wasn't like besides the power play being 0 for 6, like we didn't generate anything on a single power play, maybe just a couple chances. Like a lot of our expected goals on the game were in like 5v5 situations. Like if you look at the money puck after, the expected goals were in favor of the Sabres, 4.22 to only 1.74. So like I honestly like think, which is weird because I think the final like percent chance of winning after was like 50-50. But so like with that being said, it's tough because I I feel like they played a decent game and Samsonov kind of stole one for them.
There
But
was one chance I think Cousins had in front of the net where Samsonov like robbed him.
yeah, yeah, he saved at least a couple goals on that night. And but as far as like the crowd goes, and the quote from Cousins was obviously overblown after the game as well, when he was talking about, I hope we get support like that on the road one day, but we're gonna be a good team and blah 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 whatever. Like I didn't care about that as much. But to be honest, and I'm gonna introduce our segment here because I have a real problem with this game and just the environment. And I'm gonna go through the Twitter timeline here and just go through a couple interactions I had real quick. Nothing crazy, but this segment, we're starting this week. This is called Off My Crest. All right, like a play on off my chest. I got to get this off my crest. I was disgusted with this game, and my disgust lies with the team for being absolute shit for the last 13 years and not making the playoffs. I am with you. I don't necessarily blame the season ticket holders for selling their tickets, especially now in this environment. And you're going to make the most money from the Leafs games. Like when Sabres were in their heyday back in the day, these games were still 50-50. Like this was still happening. This was still an occurrence. I understand that. I am just the feeling I had watching this game was utter embarrassment. Like I felt uncomfortable, and I'm gonna read this tweet real quick. I wasn't the only one. This is on Twitter. So this Mike Harrington was upset all
Dude,
night too.
he was flipping his lid all night. Like his feed was entertaining for me.
Yeah, yeah, and he was more on my side. It seemed like he
Oh
was kind
yeah,
of
for
pissed
sure.
off about it. And he kept showing like the guys with the Matthews like
Yep,
shirts behind the bench and stuff. I think that was behind the Sabres bench
it
as
was.
well, which like really sucks. So this was a guy or girl, I'm not sure who posted a comment off of one of Harrington's tweet from that night. Sabres fan says, in 27 years we've never sold a Leaf game, so this is a season ticket holder, and we attend all games plus some roadies. Never experienced what we did last night. Feeling unwelcome and uncomfortable in our own house is embarrassing and insulting to all levels: owner, management, team, and fans who sold out. And as much as I can't blame the fans, the fact that this is the reality of the Buffalo Sabres right now, and if fans are feeling that, I mean, we can say all we want that like we want the players to like use it as motivation and send them up to QEW, but it's got to be extremely deflating when you look out in the crowd and you see all these Toronto Maple Leafs fans. So again, just to say that watching this game, I was going off on Twitter.
You were.
I was so pissed off and so disgusted that this is where we've come to. And just hearing them score goals and hearing the crowd roar like it's like Scotiabank Arena. Like the announcers were making fun of it. The announcers were calling us like Scotiabank South. Like it was fucking disgusting, dude. And I'm like, I'm so upset about it, and I really hope that things can just get back to where they were before, because we've talked about this too. I don't care if it continues to happen, but it cannot be like it was the other night. It absolutely cannot be like that. And there's nothing that they can do. There's no policies that they can put in place. I know they're trying, but like at the end of the day, like tickets are going to get sold, and if tickets are going to be sold, win the fucking games, get better, and this problem will be somewhat fixed, and you'll get it back to the way it used to be, where it was just 50-50. And you know what? I love that shit. That's fun. That's fun when you have let's go Leaf chance followed by let's go Buffalo chance. Like I don't mind that shit if it's more even, but this was embarrassing the other night. I I was just disgusted. I just like I couldn't wait for the game to end because of how just shitty I felt. I just wanted it off my TV screen as soon as possible. And it was a national game, so
Yeah, I was gonna say, and it was a national game, which makes it even worse. Dude, it was so funny because I remember just like scrolling Twitter like a couple hours before the game, and I don't remember which local guy, local reporter was saying it, but they were like, yeah, I'm gonna count all the Leafs jerseys I see before I see a Sabres jersey, and it was like 60 or 70 Leafs jerseys before one Sabres jersey,
yeah.
which is just insane to me.
Yeah, so then Terry has the balls to come to the next game, Jeff Skinner's game. It's like, dude, sack up, go to that Toronto game. You want to actually see the state of your franchise? Go to
Well,
that Sabres game
I
and
gotta be
here
honest
for
with you.
your own, on your own, here on your own, the let's go Leafs chance in your own fucking arena. Like, dude, I'm so upset about it.
I can see your blood boiling right now.
It was an embarrassment. It was an absolute embarrassment, and like I said, at the end of the day, the team just has to get better. And but I honestly, as much as the players are to blame for this season, it in this moment, and maybe for the next year or two until things get revived, it's really. It's not on them as much as it is on ownership and management, and coaching, and it's somewhat unfair to players right now, and I feel for them, and it's tough. Those couple games for the next couple years for this young squad at home are going to be hard games for them.
Yep. I think we can move past it. It sucks, and like you said, man, just start winning games. Just win. Just and this won't happen again.
But the fucking Leafs are still not getting out of the first round, so whatever.
No, they're getting 4-0 in the first round. You're here first.
So then the last game here to recap is was apparently, I mean, obviously, congrats to Jeff Skinner. I'll start with that. Like, okay, you got 1,000 game, but apparently the event of the century, just like with the shit I was seeing online, so much stuff for this 1,000th game, and it seemed crazy to me. Like
Dude,
there was not this much for a Poso's 1,000th game. There just was not.
dude, do you think they like Jeff Skinner or something? Holy shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, they got him like a freaking like jet ski and shit,
Well,
and then obviously they love the
about the
Poso,
jet
but
ski.
like they didn't
About the
get
jet
this.
ski.
Not this much shit.
Did you listen to After the Whistle at all this week?
No, I didn't.
Dude, it was so funny when they talked about Skinner's 1,000th game. They were like, they saw that jet ski, and I think Reve was like, he's gonna use that in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's easy. That is an easy target for sure.
Oh, that's so funny. It's so funny. It's true, but hey, dude, they signed it and shit. That was cool as hell.
Yeah, I didn't know they signed it and whatnot, but
Yeah,
I was just amazed. Like, it's like there was definitely not this much like hype about a Poso's game, and great accomplishments for both. But like you said, the Sabres have been kind of nailing these ceremonies. It was a cool thing before, and I think my favorite part about it was they brought back the between two stalls videos.
yeah,
I've been missing those, and so
that
that was
was
a
fun. I mean, they went all out for Jeff, and you got to feel like they just love this guy, and let's get this guy in the goddamn playoffs next year, huh?
yeah, yeah. Well, it's I forget who I was listening to. I don't think it was after the whistle, or maybe it was just a random show. But they were saying about, oh, it might have been something Chad said on Twitter, like interacting with someone that, because everyone's giving Skinner shit about, and we've given him shit too about, like, oh, if he doesn't score, he's not helping you in other ways. It's like, well, that's okay if he's not hurting you. Like when it becomes a net negative, then obviously that's a problem. But if he's scoring, that's still good. Like you need guys who score, and not every guy is good at everything. So if he's putting the puck in the net, then that's a positive thing for the team. Now, if he's if he's not doing his job so much in other areas that it's being a negative influence, then that's obviously a bad thing. But for Skinner, it's like, listen, we know who he is. We know what he does. He scores. He's opportunistic. He's good at 5-on-5. He's not a good passer. He's not a good defender. Effort is fine, I guess, but like that's just who he is. Is that $9 million? No, but we signed him when we signed him, and we're kind of stuck with that. So, but at the end of the day, like Jeff is Jeff. The guys obviously like him, and you don't just get to 1,000 games in the NHL for being a dud. So
Yeah, I'm excited to talk off season with you when the time comes because he's gonna be an interesting discussion for me. With the emergence of JJ Paterka on the top line, I think you can kind of hide Skinner a little bit better than we were with him on the top line. And 82 games, who knows, maybe he goes back on the top line eventually, blah blah blah. But I kind of like Jeff in this like third line scorer role with like maybe a better third line center than Peyton Krebs and obviously better than Lucas Rusek, who's straight up not an NHLer in my opinion. But Jeff Skinner in a third line role and getting some power play time at in his age 31, 32 season, I think that might be like a perfect spot for us and for him.
yeah. Yeah, I was just looking up his age. So yeah, he's 31 right now. So he'll be, it'll be the 32 year season next season. Yeah, I'm good with that. I mean, especially like you said, if he's logging, or like we've kind of said all year, like if he's logging big minutes and he's just not as effective with all these things, and then you're going to be questioning, is he going 100% all the time? Well, like if you just get him in like a minute role that's like perfect for him, and it's not like he needs a lot of ice time to still score. Like I mean,
Yeah, he
he
drives
can.
offense still.
Yeah,
Like he's
yeah,
a driver.
yeah. He's gonna, when he gets opportunities, he buries it. So if he doesn't need 20, 21 minutes, he could, if you can get him to 15, 16 a game in that lower role, he's still going to be an effective scorer for you, and that's fine. You can't break up this top line right now. The top line of Tuck, Thompson, and Paterka is cooking. It just sucks that it took them 17 games to figure that out. But yeah, I'm with you, man. Skinner is going to be an interesting debate this offseason, because there's people that want him moved. Of course, in that scenario, like the Sabres are going to have to retain money, and who knows if that's even on the table right now with Pagula and the Sabres. If not, then he's here, and you got to make it work. You got to figure out how to, again, roster management, roster construction. How are you getting the most out of your players and optimizing that lineup, like you've said so many times? So that'll be interesting to see what happens going into next year. But I think, like you were saying before, more of a second/third line role seems more of a fit at this moment in time, especially with the age and things. But
Dude, the emergence of JJ Paterka though. We got to talk about him. He's been good almost all year.
he's going to
And
get
they
to
fi-
30
it,
goals.
it took this coaching staff 70 something games to put him on the top line.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a crime to me. How did you not do this before? Like what were we looking at for 70 games that said JJ can't play on the top line? Because they're dominant. They're dominant. Every single shift. They have the
Yeah.
puck, rotating the puck. They're getting good shots on goal. It's just frustrating, man, because I think a better coach would have seen, or tried this earlier. It just really upsets me.
Do you think do you think Cousins affects that at all? Like, do you think they were thinking we need him to play with Cousins because Cousins is having a tough year? Like at the end of the day, like tough shit, like you figure that out, and like the Benson Cousins pair, like that seems to be working just fine. So like again, the lineup, what stinks is like that's the lineup optimization we were talking about all year, because the lineup they have now they could have had back then. So like but I'm just thinking like to play devil's advocate, like maybe that's something they were thinking is like we still want a scorer with Cousins and try and get him going, and it never really happened all year. But that's
Well,
I'm curious, I guess.
the thing we've said all year is that the Quinn injury kind of messed all everything up. And since Quinn's come back, like we said, like about 20 minutes ago, Quinn just unlocks Cousins somehow. I don't know what it is. They just have chemistry, and I do wonder if he was healthy and that they would have put JJ up top before, but I guess we'll never know. I'm glad they did it now because Paterka, Thompson, Tuck could legitimately be one of the best lines in the league if they get a long run together. Like
Yeah,
earlier this year, you know how last year Skinner, Thompson, and Tuck were on the ice and they were dominant offensively. Like they had one of the most fun offensive seasons, but they were fucking brutal defensively, like
hmm
beyond brutal.
hmm
Thompson, throughout his injuries and lack of offensive explosion, I feel like his defensive game has come around. Like he's might be like an average to above average defensive player now.
yeah,
Never
yeah,
saw it coming. Never saw that coming.
yeah.
And to have an offensive dynamo like Paterka and a two-way guy like Tuck, I feel like next year you have to start the year with that trio.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm 100% with you there. I was just looking up to see if I don't think NHL Edge does defensive metrics, do they?
No, no, that's more like a natural stat trick thing.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, yeah. Don't worry about it then. But yeah, I mean, so they definitely Tage definitely was better defensively this year, and I know a lot of the charts you sent me throughout the year have shown that and whatnot. But I like that line. It's definitely a line that could play better defensively. I think Paterka's maybe a little bit more stronger defensively as well with his although he had a horrible back check against Ottawa, I think it was, but
It happens. It
everyone has
happens.
that once in a while. Yeah, exactly. So no, I like it. I think that could be the top line next year that gets a lot. And if you're trying to project, we'll get into this a lot in the offseason, but I mean if that's line one and then line two is Cousins, Quinn, and Benson, I'm guessing, would be line two, right?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you kind of have to see for the rest of the season at least what it looks like, and so far so good. And then kind of if
hmm
it looks great, you roll with that and just redo the whole bottom six.
Yeah,
But
exactly. So
we can
I
jump
mean,
into
but
Benson talk if you want because I love gushing over Benson.
yeah, for sure. But like those as your top two lines would be fine. What's crazy about Benson is like we're talking about a top second line player next year. Like it's just crazy how good he's been this year. And yeah, go ahead. I'll let you start.
Does it? Well, I was going to ask you, doesn't it look like he's gotten even better over the last like month or so? Like he was
Absolutely.
already pretty goddamn good, but the offense is kind of clicking for him a little bit. Like
Yeah.
he's figuring it out a little bit more.
No, absolutely. I love watching him play. Like one of the main reasons I'm tuning into Sabres games right now is to watch this kid play. Just because and solely for the reason that I am just so excited that he's a young prospect of ours and hopefully I can watch him for many years to come because he's just gonna continue getting better and better. But yeah, dude, he's just like I mean, he's always in the right place and I just one of the things I love doing is just I watch him when he doesn't have the puck because when he doesn't have the puck is when he's at his best, I think, and he's just finding like he goes to the net and how many times has he almost scored and like you said before that finishing will get there but like watching him without the puck is great because he immediately gets rid of it and he knows where he wants to go next and he gets there whether it's a to open up a passing lane for somebody or to just to get to the front of the net. I mean, how many times have we just seen him just like be a little like goblin, like in the when he's forechecking and just like cause like chaos, for like 20 seconds, whatever. It's just there's not a bad part of his game right now. It's
Yeah,
just it's I yeah I love him, man, and he had 2 points the other night, and the points are going to come, and but I mean I can't say enough about the rookie year he's having. Like it's
dude,
he
I
doesn't look like a rookie.
I feel like the biggest endorsement of Zach Benson is the fact that he's killing penalties, and he has
hmm
been almost the
hmm
whole year.
hmm
name me another 18-year-old forwards that kills penalties in the NHL. Like
Yeah,
it just doesn't happen. And he's good
yeah,
on the penalty kill. I think he's
yeah,
like a fucking demon.
yeah.
So it's like I don't know, man. It's less like you said, he's a little goblin out there, just a little carny causing chaos, carny chaos. It's just like it's just so much fun. I can't wait until he fills out a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think he can kind of get like significantly stronger with one summer. Like this is, you got to think he gets drafted and you do media and like your summer is kind of long. You're playing in prospect tournaments, all this stuff. He's gonna have a normal summer, and I'm excited for him to kind of fill out his body, even as a kid still. Like that first summer when you have like a normal off season workout is huge for him, and
Hmm.
I just can't wait to see what he looks like next year because the sky is the limit for this player. Like he, I feel like he has the potential to be our best forward
Hmm.
in pro
Yeah.
like when he reaches his peak.
Yeah. I was just gonna ask you like what you think his ceiling is, and at this point, all signs are pointing up. It's gonna that's something that'll come more into focus in the next year or two. But I mean, if you're looking for what you want to see from these kids right away is just a contribution like they belong. You've gotten that and then some. Like he is 100% certified NHL player, and now it's just how high can he take this thing because he's just gonna like you say just gonna keep filling out. He's gonna keep getting better, and I think for me the biggest compliment that I can give him is just what I've said before is that he is a rookie and he makes his teammates better. And to me, that's just insane. That I feel like guys like literally watch him play and are like learn from him. And he makes it, and I'm like, this is crazy. This kid's just 18. Like, oh man, I love the kid, and I'm excited that we got him. And for he was ninth overall pick, right? Was he was
No, 13th,
so 13? So Savoy
which
was
is
nine.
even
I always get them flipped, but yeah,
Savoy was 9, yeah,
yeah,
which is
okay,
fucking absurd. Like usually like the top 2 or 3 guys like make the league. This guy fell to 13th, and he's
yeah.
already so good. We stole this guy from the league.
Yeah, yeah, he's gonna be really good, and yeah, I love this kid, and I mean, well, it'll be fun that I'm glad we started the show this year in his rookie year because we'll just be able to talk about his progress every year, and that's gonna be really fun. So, all right, anything else here that we want to do recap wise?
Yes, I want to say how proud I am of Owen Power for his improvement over the last couple months because I feel like he looks like a different player defensively recently. He's using his body. He looks way more confident, like on the puck, than he has at any point in his Sabres career. He scored a goal. He scored a couple goals. He's going to the net. He's getting chances to score. I do love the fact that we're doing that, that globetrotter shit now with carrying the puck, going up towards the blue line, and defense is cycling down. Like when him and Darlene together are pretty goddamn good. Like I want to see this pair for the long term. I know we traded for Byram. We can find Byram a partner. I don't think that's Henry
Yeah,
Nuki Hart, but we can find Byram another partner. I need to see more Owen Power and Rasmus Dahlin together because two former number one overall pick absolute towers on defense. They just look great, and Power was dog shit defensively. I mean, I was kind of sticking up for him more because I just felt bad, and I really like the player, and I'm biased, but he's been really good recently, like really good, and it's great to see because a lot of people were worried, like legitimately, if he would ever learn how to defend, and I feel like he's getting there.
yeah, yeah. I like that. Nice little shout out for my boy OP here to close out the segment. He's definitely been playing better. Yeah, something to continue to keep an eye on. The big extension kicks in next year, so again, going into his third year, lots of time. He's continuing to learn and get stronger himself. So, okay. So then, I think, are you ready? You want to do some April Fools here?
Yeah, let's do your little April Fool's game. I'm excited to do this.
All right. And if you're listening, feel free to pause and take a second to think about each of these questions here. But we're gonna. This is I have basically 6 questions. These are kind of random. There's a few about the Sabres. I got an Amerks one. I got just like a league one. So um, this is going to be. So I'm going to ask you the question, and you're going to say, is it Is it cool or is it fools? All right, so
Oh my
that's
god.
cool
I
is,
do
is
love
you
that
think
we
this
add a
is a
little bit of cringe in the pod every so often.
cool is it's a true statement, right? Everything
Yep.
is 100% true, and then fools is obviously a false statement. All right, so the Sabres this year have played 15 games in the goat head jerseys. All 15 games have come and gone. Of the 15 goat head games, the Sabres have scored 6+ goals in 5 of them. A third of the time, they've scored 6+ goals. That was a big number for them. They were hitting that every year last year. It seemed like that was the thing. They felt evil in the goat heads. Did they do it 5+ times in the goat heads this year?
Fools. The goat heads lost their magic this year.
You're going fools. It
Yeah.
is fools. It is fools. They've had 4 though. Surprisingly, are you
Well, that
surprised?
does surprise me actually. That does
Yeah,
surprise because I feel like for a while. Okay, the Washington one, that one doesn't count because that just happened. But come on, I feel like the goat heads like lost their luster a little bit earlier this year, and they like you said they felt evil. I feel like they didn't feel evil this year. You know what they got to do? Bring back the slug. We need some slug magic.
that's next. That's next. I think they have I think it was a 3-year goat head thing. So like last year, this year, I think they'll wear them next year, and then I don't know. I'm sure they can extend it, but I
Right.
want to say initially it was a 3-year thing. But so just a little tidbit off the side of this, the other 3 games. So the Washington was one of those games. The other 3 games, they scored 7 goals in all of those games
Holy shit.
actually. So it was
Okay.
7-0 shutout of the Kings, 7-2 against Vegas, and then 7-3 against Detroit. So those were
Okay. So maybe
yeah.
the goat heads still have a little bit of magic in them.
I got one more goat head question here. So
Okay.
the Sabres have 4 shutouts while wearing the goat heads. Cool or
Cool.
fools?
It's cool. It's cool.
You're going cool on that?
Yeah.
That is fools. That
Okay.
is fools. They have 3 shutout wins, and they've been shut out once.
Okay. Wow.
So
Are those all
you
UPL
mentioned
shutouts?
you mentioned the Colorado game earlier, 4-0.
Yep.
That was the first one, and then 3-0 win against the Blackhawks. We just mentioned the Kings game, 7-0, and then most recently the shutout loss to Toronto.
Okay.
So there have been 4 shutout games in the Goat Heads, but 3 for the good guys and 1 for
The
the
stupid leaves.
Leafs. Yeah, the stupid Leafs. All right, this next one is an Amherst question. All right, the Rochester Amherst are the longest tenured AHL team at their current location.
That's cool.
That is cool, you think?
Yeah.
Nope, that is
Is it
fools.
Hershey? Is it Hershey?
It's Chocolate Town, baby.
Okay. I knew it was either us or Hershey. Those have been those two franchises. I mean, it's so cool for those two cities to be in those towns. I feel like AHL teams kind of like move around a lot. So it is really cool that those two teams and they've had the same well, the Capitals have been affiliated with Chocolate Town forever. I mean, I don't think they've ever disbanded their relationship. But there was a time when we were not affiliated with the Americans, and it was the Panthers affiliation, and that was a weird time in Sabres history because we were affiliated with the Portland Pirates. That was like around like 08, 09, and then once Pagula bought the team, he kind of like reaffiliated with the Amherst and brought that back. But man, that's so cool that they've had a team regardless for the second longest time in the AHL. That's great.
Yeah, and they're the 4th oldest franchise in the AHL. It's so funny because I was looking for like something Amherst to throw in here,
Yeah,
and when I saw this fact that they were second to Chocolate Town, I'm like, I have to put it in just because it's fucking chocolate and white.
I will never unhear Chocolate Town after that playoff series like last year.
All right, here we
I'm
go.
not
This
calling
next
them
one.
Hershey anymore. They're
No,
Chocolate
no,
Town.
no. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, this next one's good. This next one's good. Okay, Eric Johnson has
Oh
played
fuck.
has played 12 games with the Philadelphia Flyers since being acquired via trade from the Sabres. In that span, the Flyers are 3-9 And
Oh, that's cool. Cool.
Johnson has contributed a -11 ranking with
Oh
0
my God.
points.
Cools. He's fucking terrible. He's terrible.
Yes, that is cool. That is cool.
I feel bad for the guy. I feel
Three
bad.
of
I really
nine.
do. I feel bad. We're gonna cook him on Friday.
So he had like one really poor game. This was like a month. You texted me after and was like, "Oh, EJ was like a -4 today." So he had one horrible
Oh,
game where he was -4, but he's on a terrible run right now. I think his last like 6 games, he's got like 4 -1s and then like a -2 in there. Like it's been tough, but yeah.
like plus
Oh
minus
man.
doesn't matter. But like every time I watch the Flyers, I'm like, oh my God, this guy is so bad.
No, I know plus minus doesn't matter, but it's just like another way to throw shade at him. So I'll do what I can. All right, last one here. The Sabres. This is okay. The Sabres have collected more home points than away points this season.
Oh,
Cool or
that's
fools?
fools.
That is cool. We
Really?
have we have 39 points at home and 38 points on the road.
You are fucking picking these cherry pick stats. This is absolute bullshit.
Well, that was surprising to me though, because I would have said it right away what you said. But yeah,
Yeah,
yep. That's it. That's all I got for you.
that was
Just
fun.
a just a little Sabres trivia. But I'm excited to hopefully do this bigger next year and make it more. This year, everything is a test, which is cool. But all
You
right,
got me.
so
Hang on. You got me fucked up thinking about Eric Johnson. So I'm doing a little search here. I want to see his numbers since being in Philly. So I know they're dog shit. So give me a minute. I'm gonna look. Start talking about some other shit.
what are you looking up?
I want to see his XG. I want to see his
Oh,
Corsi.
okay.
I want to see how bad he's been because
So
he's
you're
just
going
so bad.
advanced analytics.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Hold on. Okay. So Eric Johnson's been on the ice for 3 goals for and 13 against.
Yep, that's the
Oh my God.
-11.
That's.
Yep,
Oh my God. Oh
no
my
points.
God. Actually,
Like I was saying.
not gonna lie. It's so funny because like he's kind of like break even on like all stats. So it's not like the worst ever, but fuck him. He's terrible.
That
It's
is
like
hilarious. All
he's
right,
like
well I think
49. He's like 49, 50% in like most things. So it's like okay, it's not the worst it could ever be, but it's still bad.
I'm glad you looked at those because I still have no idea how to read all those fancy charts and stuff. So
It's,
uh,
I'll teach you one day. I'll do a class.
before we get into goofball and digs here, we gotta talk Amerks because our Amerik boys they're on a run here. We mentioned last show that it was a huge week for them, that they were playing Syracuse and then Cleveland, who is first and second in the North Division. And wouldn't you know it, they win all 3 games. So 2-0 win at the Syracuse Crunch. Dustin Tokarski was in net because Levi's been up with the Sabres, and so again, Syracuse was first, and they got goals on this night from Kulik and Wiesbach. They followed that up with a nice overtime win in Cleveland to pull within 2 points of second. This was actually an OT win, so Cleveland ended up getting 1 point, but Kulik scores again, Wiesbach scores again, and then Davies scores 21 seconds into OT to put this game um, to bed. They really dominated a lot of this game. They outshot the Monsters 36-18. I watched a fair chunk of this game. I was tuning in mainly for Wahlberg as this was his first game in the for the Amherst, and he got a little bit of ice time and looked pretty good. And then they win again when they come back home, just a demolishing a 6-1 win over the Monsters, just totally dumbing them to move into second place. They jumped the Cleveland Monsters. So as it sits now, the Amherst are in second place 3 points. Let me double check that. I want to say 3 points out of first of the Syracuse Crunch, and they have the same. It's either 2 or 3 points. I'm loading it up right now. Let's see. Yeah, 3 points out, same amount of games played. They don't play the Crunch again. They each have 7 games left, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. But if they can stay in that 1 or 2 spot, they will get a bye. But the Amherst have been rolling. What do you think?
I found myself really excited to watch the Amherst lately. Like I'm glad that we got AHL TV in the beginning of the year to watch the Amherst because they're a fun bunch and their young guys are unreal. Like it's gonna be so hard to see who comes up to the NHL next year, but I think Yuri Kulik is ready for the NHL.
Hmm.
He played that 6-1 win we just had the other day. That was a pro style game. Like he was unbelievable on both ends of the ice. Like I think it's Trey Fix Wolansky is a player for the Cleveland Monsters, and I think he's like in the top 10 in league scoring. And Kulik was like stripping him of a puck, like bodying off the puck. Like he was unreal. And Zach Metza deserves an NHL contract. I want to see that guy like get some games with the Sabres eventually. Like even as a Bryson replacement for like your seventh defenseman, I'd be okay with that. And Victor Wahlberg, man, I think I texted him about 10 times
No,
how impressed
Anton.
I was. Oh yeah, Victor. Who the
Victor
hell is
Neuchev. You're
Vic?
thinking of Neuchev, who
Yes.
also was
Okay.
playing
Norchuk.
really good. So Neuchev is who I was going to shout out because
Okay.
Neuchev's been a beast.
But Wahlberg, man, he's noticeable, and I thought he was just going to get a couple games and just watch the playoffs, kind of like what Reinhardt did that. I know Savoy got in games last year and played a little bit in the playoffs, but man, Wahlberg, he immediately steps in and he looks great. Like he adds a little like size and some good board play, and he can move. The big guy, the big lad can fucking skate.
Yeah, he made a
And
couple nice moves that led to a couple odd man rushes, and I mean he already has a point. He's been getting some power play time. He got an assist
yeah, like
in the
holy
last
shit,
game.
man,
So
these guys are coming in. And dude, shout out Noichev because he's had a huge glow up. This guy is so fun. He is
yeah,
so
he's
much fun.
fast. He's fun to watch. Yeah, he's been playing real good. He's a high effort guy. Like anytime he's out there, you know it. He's buzzing around, and he's yeah. I like watching him play. He's a water bug, right?
He is. He is. He is a water bug. That's a perfect description. He's just buzzing around out there. But he scored a goal the other day, and I don't know how he got the shot off. Like, he like contorted his body and his wrists like in a way that was unnatural to me, and he scored, and it was a like a laser. I'm like, holy shit, man, this guy's good. This guy, he might be like a sneaky call up next year.
so so Levi is. I totally agree with that. He's been good. There's a lot of guys that are playing good at the right time, which is fun. Levi's officially down. I would assume he's down for the rest of the
The rest of the year.
season and for the Calder Cup playoffs. And then obviously Ryan Johnson's been down there for a little bit, and he's been playing. He's been playing good as well. He looks good. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. I'm curious to see, and you might know a little bit more about this. Like, what is going on with Savoy? Is he gonna be here soon? It depends on what Moose Jaw does in the playoffs. I don't know when the WHL playoffs is starting, and if he can even join them or not. But
Well, the playoffs is on, or the playoffs are on right now. His team is actually up 3-0 in their first round series.
okay,
Um, but after like I if they win the WHL, then it starts the Memorial Cup, which is for those that like don't really understand how Canadian junior hockey works. All three leagues, the WHL, the QMJHL, and the OHL, they each get one representative, and then there is a team that's pre-picked before the season as the host team, who like hosts the Memorial Cup. So it's four teams round robin at the end.
so that
So
team just gets a season long bye.
yeah, which is well, the thing is, like the league that get like the team that gets it, it's actually really cool. The team that gets it, like you're trading everyone to get a stacked team because you want to win a championship.
Oh,
So
that
like
makes
the
sense.
teams
Okay.
the teams that like get rewarded with the Memorial Cup, like being a host, they're trading like fucking 10-year-olds. Like they're trading picks like 10 years out to like get all the best possible guys to win a championship. It's actually pretty fucking cool. Like I think the way it works is very awesome. But
That's
in
funny.
terms of like Savoy, like they definitely have a chance to like make it to the very end. And if that happens, he probably won't play for Rochester because it'll be, it'll probably end around the same time that the AHL playoffs are going on, like ending.
Yeah.
Let's say like they win their first round, and then I think the Western Hockey League playoffs are 3 rounds, so it's one more round, and then they'll make it to like the final in the playoffs. So at the end of the month, let's see how it goes, and we'll see. But dude, Moose Jaw's stacked. They got Jagger Firkus on their team. He's unreal. They got this defenseman. I think he was a top 10 pick last year. Denton Matejchuk, he's unreal. Like, their team is definitely going to go far. And
Yeah.
Savoy, what did I say earlier to you? I think I texted you. I think he has 34 goals in 37 games this year.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that
Like,
was a stat. He's been doing good.
he's doing everything you possibly could want, and I want to see him in the AHL.
Yeah, we follow Moose Jaw on the show account, and I feel like every night they're like showing highlights of either like an assist Savoy had or like a goal that he's scoring. So he's definitely getting a lot of playing time down there and doing good because he got traded there, earlier. I mean, if we
Yeah,
remember, I mean, he was that was a trade a while back. So okay, so if it happens, it
dude.
happens.
So
If
a
not,
little
he's
bit.
still getting a lot of play time.
One more thing on Savoy, I'm really excited because like I feel like in terms of which prospect might make the team next year, it'll probably be Kulik, and then like right behind him is Savoy. But I want to see Savoy like for a long term in the AHL and kind of do what Logan Stankoven is doing for the Dallas Stars right now. Like he played the majority
Stanky.
of the season. Dude, I love Stank. He's a great player. Played the majority of the season in the AHL, ripped it up, and then now that the Dallas Stars are making like they're getting ready to go in the playoffs, they call him up. He's fucking tearing it up for the Stars. I could see that happening for Savoy too because
Yeah.
he's on that trajectory.
Yeah, yeah. It'll be yeah. I guess it just depends on like what they're gonna do to start the season. I'm totally fine with that. Especially if Adams makes a couple moves that we're hoping for this year and get some vets in there. Then give him some time in the AHL and then call him up when he's ready. So yeah, it'll be fun to see what the Amherst obviously do with their last 7 games here. Hopefully they can find a way to get into first. But if not, we'll have some Calder Cup playoff hockey coming up soon, and we'll see what happens with that. But you want to do your goofball here?
Well, I'm about to apologize to someone for the third time, and I don't, you might not listen, but so we were all a little emotional after the Leafs spanked us 3-0 and with the crowd in the building and all this, and there's a Cover One contributor that made had a take that I disagreed with. And Cover One, shout out them, amazing football analysts. And we like to delve into the football side. It's fun. We're going to talk Stefan Diggs here in a minute, and we're just like Buffalo sports fans. We love our teams, but we're the hockey boys. So this guy has a take that I disagree with, and I commented as I was like all fired up about the loss. I said that he should stick to football, and his name is Adam Pencil. I've actually you know, followed his stuff for a while. Great, great contributor, like nice guy and everything. So I said, this is a stick to football take. Asshole move by me. Just complete asshole move by me. I'm a goofball. He snaps back in the quote teats and says, sounds like someone that has 14 followers for their podcast. Absolutely cooked me on Twitter. Just cooked.
Totally dummies you,
And,
just dummied
and
you.
it's fine. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we had like a little exchange. And then I had some clarity. I'm like, that was really mean of me. I shouldn't have said that. We're all Buffalo sports fans. We all love our teams. We're all passionate. So I apologized. He apologized to me. We're all good. Water under the bridge. He, but I am this week's goofball. I should not be getting so angry on social media. It's not worth it. And we're all sports fans. We all have our own opinions. And that was just really stupid of me. And I got cooked. And I admit that I got cooked. And I'm okay with it because it's fun to get cooked sometimes on social media. I showed my wife and she was like, wow, he fucking cooked you. Like, you can't even say anything. And I'm like, oh, sick. Thanks, babe. But, geez, I'm the goofball. And that's okay with me because it's all water under the bridge now. And everyone loves each other now. So we're all good.
Well, yeah, and shout out to him because he shouted you out too,
Yeah, and I got a couple
and
followers out of that. And I hope that like we get some more listeners. We have fun here. This is a fun podcast.
yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, I was laughing when you sent me the initial interaction, but for him to do the well, his tweet was funny when he shouted you out because he basically said like, oh, this is my favorite interaction from like the last 30 days or something, and it is because we all get a little bit emotional. We get emotional on this podcast too, and that's just because we love our teams. And if we take it a little too far, then sometimes you see it go one way, and sometimes you see it go the way it went here, and that's good. So yeah, you kill them with kindness. So
Yeah,
there you
yeah,
go.
you just gotta hash it out. You gotta hash it out in the DMs. Actually, he hit me with a fuck face, and after that, I'm like, wow, this guy really got, like, he really got me. Like, you don't hit someone with a fuck face and lose the argument, you know? So,
That is hilarious. That is so funny. All right, well, speaking of the Bills in cover one, we'll close things out here with a little football talk, and the big news: the Bills trade Diggs, perhaps. I mean, seemingly out of nowhere. I mean, I remember, like, I was working, so I remember being at work, and everyone was just like, like, all treatment stopped. Everyone's just like on their phones, like everyone's getting calls from everybody, and my patients are all apologizing to me. They're like, "I'm sorry, I'm just like I'm getting blown up right now," and I'm in the well. Meanwhile, I'm texting you, and I'm like, "No, it's all good." But what are your what were your initial reactions, and what are your thoughts now that you've had a little time to digest what
well,
happened?
dude, I didn't see it coming this year. Like, I kind of, we've been saying, I think you have, like, agreed with me that this would probably be his last year here if he stayed, just because they had an out next year, kind of, and it wasn't like a full out where I don't think like you could cut him and have zero dead cap, but it was easier than the $31 million in dead cap they're taking on now. Like, of course, but I didn't see it coming, but I did kind of at the same time. Like, how often have we seen Josh Allen be like, "That's my boy," like "That's my brother," like all this shit, like that's my teammate, and Dix has just kind of been like, "Yeah, like whatever." And there's
Yeah,
been smoke around his attitude, and I do have to say he is probably, besides Josh Allen, my favorite Bill of like all time. Like, oozing swag, has the best like 4 year run of any Bills receiver in history. But with that being said, I'm kind of excited and relieved that he's gone. Like, how do you feel?
yeah. I was obviously surprised when the news broke, but I kind of, as surprised as I was, I feel like the Bills right now are in this, they're in this mode where like they have to kind of get younger, and they have to figure out how they're going to get past the Chiefs, and I think I don't. They're not rebuilding because they don't need to. The team is still good enough to win the Super Bowl, but they're definitely resetting a few things here. And to me, it just, and especially listening to some of Bean's press conferences and things over the last couple days, and some of his thoughts on it, I just think that all the distractions and BS just became too much. And obviously they did, to the point where they're willing to eat $31 million and give away two other picks in exchange for just one pick to literally go pay him to play somewhere else. So I think, given that it was a surprise, I'm also probably just like, I'm just relieved, which I'm sure the team is as well, that what, it's just time to move on. And we can have a whole nother conversation here now on like Josh Allen, but like I am not worried about Josh Allen at all. Like
Oh
I'm not,
God,
like,
no.
the whole thing
People
about
were
like the you sure meme, was like
That
when
was
Diggs,
insane. That
well,
was
when
insane last
Diggs,
two
so
nights ago.
he said that, because someone was like, and how does he find this shit? Like he's just scrolling through stuff. Like, that's what I mean.
I think he
He
got tagged. I think he got tagged actually. So it
okay,
did come. So it comes up in your notice, but
but
still,
the
dude, like you
comment was
don't have to
something
reply.
like, like, oh, like, just Josh Allen doesn't need like an elite wide receiver or whatever to be successful. And he was like, oh, you sure? It's just like all these antics and stuff. And then,
I know, dude. Like that's so unnecessary. Like, did you really need to say that? Like now I get it. He's gone, and like, but like, come on, man.
yeah, yeah, that was the nail in the coffin. And then he literally got like traded like the next day. And I'm just like, but going back to my original point, like, yes, I am sure. Like as much as you helped Allen, like Allen has ascended. He is that dude. Statistically, everyone that's come here has had a breakout year. Cole Beasley had his best career year with Josh Allen. John Brown had his best career year with Josh Allen. Like, you come to Buffalo, you have Josh Allen, you're going to be an amazing weapon. My bet is Curtis Samuel is going to have his best career year this year with Josh Allen. So, like, no, we don't necessarily need Diggs to be successful. We won a lot of games down the stretch without him. Granted, he's a big loss. The Bills are worse now than they were before they let him go, but I have 100% faith in Bean to, he's got a plan. He wasn't doing this if there wasn't a plan. So we'll see what that plan ends up being.
Yeah, I am so excited for the draft. It's 3 weeks from tonight. I have so like they could do anything. Like they could theoretically. I don't want this to happen because I'm just kind of more of like a pick as many guys as possible kind of guy. But they could theoretically move up into the top 10 for like one of the three big wide receivers, Marvin Harrison Jr. or Malik Neighbors, or who the fuck am I forgetting? Oh, Rome Odunze from Washington.
Yeah.
Or you could, stay at 28 and take like a plethora of guys. Like you could put probably like 6, 7, or 8 names like in a hat to pick at 28, and there's someone that would be like great pick.
Yeah.
There's plenty of guys. They can move up into like the 15 to 20 spot for a guy. Like they can do anything. But I have no doubt that they're going to take a wide receiver early and probably in the mid rounds too. Get as many weapons as possible. Like we're going to find a guy. We're going to find a guy that might be better than a 31-year-old Stephon Diggs. You just like kind of never know.
You never know. I mean, look at, like, everyone thought we were going to be a disaster at linebacker last year, and then Terrell Bernard happens. Like you really just never know. I think if anything, it just shows how confident they are with Khalil Shakir,
Yeah,
being
and
a big
Kincaid too.
contributor next year, and Kincaid, right? So it shows that they have massive confidence in those couple of guys. And then I wonder if there is just a small component of Brady being the offensive coordinator now, and maybe the scheme changing a little bit, seeing that, hey, we can win games and we didn't need to just hyper target Diggs, even though they still did pepper him with targets. They just weren't successful targets. So I think probably that's a little bit of a contributor to it there. Maybe just scheme evolving, being confident with the weapons they have, and knowing that there's a plan in place moving forward, anyways. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, did you see anything tonight with the news with Diggs? How he they ripped up the last 3 years of his deal, so he's playing on a 1-year contract now.
yeah,
Like,
I didn't see that. I saw the video that he recorded, like the 6 second video
oh,
people were
doesn't he look so happy? Looks so
yeah,
happy.
I know. Yeah, everyone was saying that, but that's just the stuff. Like that's just like wherever he goes, it's gonna happen. Like it's just him. Like
I
I
mean,
don't know.
he's still one of my favorite Bills of all time. I think when they build the new stadium, if they have a Wall of Fame, I think he deserves a spot on the Wall of Fame, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But I'm sad. I'm also sad that like we never won a Super Bowl with him. Like he was a great player. It was just time. It's time, I guess.
yeah, yeah. It's not like he showed out in the playoffs either. And
I don't know.
well, you
His worst games were playoff games.
yeah, you know how I am, dude. You like we talked about Caitlin Clark last week. Like for me, like body language is everything, and I did not buy into the whole it seemed a little bit too defensive of him. Everyone just saying like, "Oh, like that's just Diggs. He's just a competitor. This is how he shows an emotion." Like I was just like, no, like you can still have a desire to win and be a competitor, but not do all the shit he was doing. Like it doesn't like that was just a blanket
Remember that?
excuse.
Remember that when he did
Yeah,
that shit?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
when he's
exactly. Yeah, when
like
he dropped the pass.
what the fuck do you mean? Like what do you
Yeah, and
mean
then
that?
but not and then not going like the whole yelling at Josh on the sideline stuff, like and then not going to the locker room afterwards. Just like all this shit. It's just like, listen, we told ourselves in our head as Bills fans, oh, everything was okay, and it's just him being a competitor. But like, there's different ways you can do it, and ways you can still want to win. Like, so you're telling me that the other 52 guys on the team that aren't doing that aren't competitors and don't want to win? Like, I just don't subscribe to that. So,
Yeah.
again, thanks for everything you did and whatnot, but you got to move on. And I'm excited to see what they do and for the draft. It's just a big, we'll see what happens at right now.
Yeah. Go Bills.
Go Bills and go Sabres. And I think that's going to do it for tonight, right? That'll wrap it up.
Yeah. Great discussion.
Yeah.
I'd like to get back in the saddle. Tomorrow we got a game against Philadelphia. I'm excited to sit down and watch that, and I hope he cooked Eric Johnson and he's on the ice for 5 goals against.
Win against Philly, win against Detroit, win against Dallas. What are our playoff odds next week when we talk?
Is that who we got? Those 3 in a row?
Yep.
Well, let's see. Who won tonight? I'm actually curious. I haven't looked. We're still doing this until we're mathematically eliminated. We're still doing this. So let's see. So the Islanders won.
Islanders losing would have been so nice.
The Penguins won. Dude, the Penguins are 2 points out.
I know,
How?
right? That's
What the
crazy.
hell? What the hell is going on? So they beat Washington.
So as of right now, the second wild card is the Islanders at 83 points and they're even with us. So we're 6 points out, and again you got if you win the next three, you get to 83, which is the current wild card three. Would you think? I mean, I would think if they sweep them all, you're still a couple points out.
Oh,
Like,
you're still probably like 2% chance to get in. Like barring a massive collapse in the final week from these teams, like we're not getting in, but we'll be eliminated in the final week, which it sucks. But maybe next year they won't mess around in November and December.
yep, we'll see. If we talk it, we're going to be talking next year, and we're still not mathematically going to be eliminated yet, and we're going to be like, all right, what do we need to happen this next week? All right, but with that, we will end it there, and we'll see everybody again next week after these last few games. But if you're a fan of the show and enjoy listening, check us out on Twitter at Sabres Spotlight. And the show email address will be in the show notes if you have any questions or want to send any feedback to us there. And don't forget to also subscribe to the YouTube channel where we send the shows as well. But that's going to do it for
Oh, and
today.
give us a rating too. Give us a rating on your listening platform. That really helps with like the algorithm and stuff.
Yeah. All right, but 5 stars, of course, only 5 stars. Like that's if you're not gonna rate 5 stars, don't even bother. Just listen and hate us, but keep that 1 star review to yourself. All right, we'll see everybody next week. Later.
Bye.